Welcome back to an art tutorial after so long. Today we'll be making a watercolor painting, and for that I'm taking Camlin watercolors, some paint brushes, a color palette and a masking tape. I'll be using some watercolor sheets of this brand Anupam, which is 200 GSM and the size is A6. So the first rule of doing any watercolor painting is masking the sheet. So this is done so that the sheet doesn't get shrinked while the water is applied, or it doesn't move. It stays stable because you have to work with a lot of water. Also, try to work with more GSM thickness sheet so that your sheet doesn't shrinks, or it doesn't, the water doesn't get bleed. Okay, so I've just taped all the edges and now my drawing is fixed. For the reference, I'm going to sketch the idea which I'm gonna paint. One rule that you have to make sure is don't use the pencil in a very dark grade, because you won't be able to erase once you have used paint colors. Now I'm taking chrome yellow, crimson, peach and burnt umber shades of Camlin watercolors. So there are different techniques which are used for watercolor. Like first of all, what you have to do is, once you take the paint out of the tube, it is in a very saturated form. So to apply it on the paper, you have to first dilute it by taking few drops of the paint on the tip of the brush and then mixing it with few drops of water. As you can see, I'm preparing a shade by using few amounts of crimson lake with some skin color, and just to prepare a pinkish tone shade. So here what I'm doing is I'm diluting it. Now what I will do is I will just take a wet brush and apply some water on the surface of the paper. Okay, apply the water on the areas where you want that paint to kind of give a spreading and a very light effect. Okay, like here I'm applying not all over the image which I'm drawing, like I have to make a heart, so I'm not putting water all the way through the area. So as you can see, I'm dipping the wet brush in some skin paint and then dabbing it, not rubbing. Don't put swashes. You have to just dab the paint a bit and let it spread on its own by using the water that you just applied on the paper. Just like this, it will get spread on its own. Now we will again dip the brush in the water and then pick up the diluted shade that we just prepared, and then now we're gonna dab it on the surface of skin color. So what happens is, by using the water that is still on the paper, the pink color will blend itself along with the skin one, so you don't have to actually mix those two shades, and it will give a very natural and realistic effects. Like I'm doing this pink shade on the edges of the heart, somewhere in the centers as well. A tip for beginners: while you're applying the water, just leave few white spaces just so that it will act as a white highlight once you've prepared your painting. You can blend as many shades as you want until the water is still wet on the paper, and once it dries, you can again apply another layer of water, but not until that layer completely gets dried up. Okay, just don't put another shade or another layer of water on a layer of paint which is semi-wet actually, because your shades will blend drastically, like it will look so bad. So just don't make that mistake. As you can see here, I am blending all the shades by just using that water and water technique. So now I wanted to add some few lines to show the veins in the heart. For doing this, I'm using a darker shade, but I've completely made sure that my lower layer of the paint has completely dried up, because the outlining or the highlight part is only meant to happen once the lower layer is completely dried. I'm using a 0 size brush to do the detailing by using black color. Now I'm taking deep green, verdant hue, chrome green light hue and lemon yellow for the plants. So to paint the leaves, what we have to do is, first we have to wet the surface and go from lightest to darkest shade. Like we have to give the lightest, and I'm using yellow as the base of the leaf to give it a very bright color, and a green with a hint of yellow, you can say. So first I'm using yellow for the base, then I will apply light green over it, and will use the darkest shade of the greens for the highlights and lines on the veins of the leaf. Okay, tip number 2 for the beginners. Always keep a tissue paper or a dry cloth with you to wipe off the excess water which is on the surface of the paper. I'm kind of lazy, so I'm doing it by hand, which is wrong. Okay, so don't do that. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure to give it a big fat thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also click on the I button upwards to check out more art tutorials. And now it's time to remove the tape from the edges, and our beautiful painting is ready.